Hi, we're here with John Hoellerich. He's a fireman on the Natchez from 48 to 49. And John, would you tell us something about your time on the Natchez and your service period?
All right. Aboard there in 48, the two countries, Iran and Iraq, split. They were one country and they split. And Russia told the United States if they send a tanker up there, they would blow it out the water. So being the Natchez, we pronounce it Natchez, we were sent up there. And we went in the Persian Gulf all the way up as far as you can go in the Gulf and loaded up. And while we were there, they took the crew and armed them and put them around the ship and with weapons. And some of us were more scared about the fellow next to us trying to shoot and losing control of the gun and shooting us. So we loaded up and we were ready to pull out, and it was on an Easter Sunday. And the people on the shore said, we don't work on Easter Sunday. Now these are a bunch of Muslims, so we knew they were just harassing us. So the captain made a phone call, the port commander, I believe he was, and he was an Englishman. And he came down there and he talked to those Muslims, and I never seen the lines tossed off so fast in my life. I don't know what the gentleman said in his language, but it was pretty potent because we were tossed off, the lines were tossed off, and we got out of there. And the Persian Gulf at that particular day was very rough. And by the time we got out of the Persian Gulf, we hit the Indian Ocean, and it was as calm as could be, like a sheet of glass. So the captain said, we're going to drop anchor and have a swimming party. He says, now nobody goes in the water until the lifeboat's aboard, inshore, or in the water, I'm sorry. And unfortunately, I was the engineer on the boat. We were being lowered into the water, and the gentleman couldn't wait, and he dove off the ship into the water. About midway in his dive, the word was shouted all aboard, there are sharks in the water. We fortunately had a gentleman with a rifle for just such an emergency, but he wasn't a very good shot. He did not hit the shark. This diver hit the water, tried to climb up the side of the ship because he was scared. And naturally that only added to the confusion because he started bleeding. And that shark would circle around him but never went actually for him. In the meantime, trying to get that boat started fast, I flooded the engine, which didn't help. We couldn't get to him and he couldn't get out of the water. But finally we made arrangements and we picked him up, and that was the end of the swimming party. But it was quite an experience for a day and for a 17-year-old.
You were 17?
Yes.
What was the age? It was 17 the age that you could join?
Yes.
That was the legal age.
I was one of those at 46. I took my birth certificate. I was born at 29. Took my birth certificate and tried to change the 9 to an 8. And I thought I did a pretty good job. And went down to the recruiting station, but they caught me and they said, come back in a year. And then I served in the Navy. I enlisted for 4 years, but then the war broke out in Korea, and President Truman said we could all stay for another year. So I spent 5 years in the Navy, discharged, into the reserve for 2 years, and I was on my way to work one morning, and on the radio it said the United States was going to send the Marine Corps to Israel. So I said, that's where I'm going to go. And I turned the car around, went down and joined the Marine Corps. And a short time later, I was fortunate enough to make promotion, made sergeant. And a week later, they asked if I wanted to go to a drill instructor school for the Marine Corps, and I said that'd be great. And so I became a drill instructor in the Marine Corps. And then after a year of that, I asked for a transfer, and I was fortunate enough to get transferred to Honolulu, Hawaii. And and I spent my last year in the service in Hawaii.
When did you meet Betty Ruth?
I met Betty Ruth while I was on leave at the Navy, and she won't like this, but she's quite a bit younger than I am. And I went to church one Sunday night, and the fellow said, "We're going to a birthday party." I was still in the Navy at that time. And would you like to go with us? Some of the fellows I knew. And I said, sure. So we went to this birthday party, and it was for Betty Ruth. And I asked them, how old is she? And they said, she's 14. I said, that's too bad that she's not older. I could sure go for her. And she heard me. And from then on, I was a dead duck.
Well, very good. You know, it's amazing. In 48, you witnessed all the beginning of the turmoil that we're in now.
Yes.
Creating the two, Iraq and Iran.
Right.
And Israel becoming a state.
Yes.
At that time period. You witnessed a lot.
Yes, I did. I was very fortunate. And we were in Okinawa, and we tied up to a dock, unloading the fuel, and we ended up with a leak in the pump. Nobody recognized it. And the yellow abandoned ship, we all ran out to a ball field that was nearby. And they asked for volunteers to go back and pump out the fuel from those bilges, and nobody had naturally volunteered because it was a little dangerous operation. So then the captain offered 30 days leave, and still no one volunteered. Then he said, I'll give you 30 days and a promotion. And they got their volunteers, they cleaned out the ship, and we were back on it. But because it's, how long have I got? So that made us a little late for our next shipment, or our next station, which was the Philippines. And the captain had the bright idea that if we turned the ship around and went out bow first to stern, we could make up some of our lost time. But we got a crossways in the water, Bunker Bay I believe it was called, and ran aground. And that was another fun time. They brought a couple tugs, got us out off the ground, and in the meantime, we took the tug and sucked it into our screw as we were turning it to help the maneuver to turn. Split one of the blades on the propeller, and we had a limp to the Philippines, and they fixed us there, and we went to Long Beach to have repairs. So it was another interesting incident there. And I dare say that was one time I was shot at by the Japanese. We went to a base to get some food supply, and we were warned when we took off that the Japanese were still fighting the Americans. And we were in an open truck, and doggone if they didn't shoot us. We all hugged the ground or the back of the truck, deck of the truck, and weren't shot at again. But the bullet hit the truck and bounced, but no one was hurt. There was 5 of us in the back of that truck. So I had an interesting time.
You had a lot of good experience.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, John, for sharing with us.
Thank you.